We have with us Bhansali. He's the CEO of Finance at the company. Mr. Bhansali, good morning and thanks for joining in. Mr. Bhansali, last quarter we spoke to you. You said that rural hadn't picked up, or pardon me, rural had picked up quite a bit, but it was to a certain extent outpacing urban. How are things panning out now, and what kind of effect has it had on your top line and consequently your operating profits?
Yeah, so the operating environment has been challenging. In fact, it's not only just rural or urban kind of a thing. The inflation led by the food prices, unemployment rates, though the urban demand has decelerated, rural has picked up, in fact. And the erratic seasons, all this has impacted the overall consumer offtakes for the quarter, and in fact for all the peers and everyone. And within this environment, we have been able to deliver a good, reasonable growth of around 3%, and that is also led by a volume growth of around 2% also. So, reasonably good performance from our side.
Mr. Bhansali, you've managed to see an uptick in your margins, while other FMCG companies have seen pressure in terms of raw material pricing. I just want to understand that what has led to this uptick in margin, and how are the key raw material price trends that you're observing?
Yeah, so if you look at the gross margins have improved by 60 basis points for the quarter. And in fact, for the half year also, the margins have improved by 140 basis points. So while the fuel costs have increased, but we have been able to manage them in a much better way. In fact, the crude had been still benign. Few of the materials, kind of gold, silver, or kesar, or some Ayurvedic materials, the prices had increased. But for other polymers and packing materials, we managed it very, very strategically, and the prices to that extent had been low for us, and we do not foresee going forward also any pressure from the materials prices. And also, another significant thing, when we saw that the revenues are not growing to the extent which we had expected, the market, because the market sentiment has been relatively low, so we conserved on A&P as well. So though for the first half, the A&P has been at around 18% or so, but for the quarter, some reduction had happened in the A&P as well. And so despite 3% revenue growth, the EBITDA growth has been 7%, and PAT growth is at almost 19%. So we are very mindful of growth in terms of revenue and profit both.
Right, Mr. Bhansali, as the winter season kicks in, your expectations from this particular season, the kind of products that you guys are working with right now, any new launches, if you could shed more light here?
Yeah, so we are very optimistic on the winter products. In fact, winter has started setting in, and like the summer, which had been very strong, and it impacted our offtakes in the first quarter, and so we could demonstrate a good growth of almost double-digit 10% growth in the first quarter. We expect winter also to be good, and we expect almost the same kind of a growth in the second half. So for the full year, we still expect high single-digit kind of a growth for the full year on an annualized basis.
Okay, Mr. Bhansali, we leave it at that. Thank you for joining us and taking us through the quarter gone by.